In a world that moves faster than our own breath, we often forget that we come from a civilization that saw life as a sacred art, where every gesture was a story, every ritual a science, and every practice was like coming back to our own selves. With this thought ahead, Postmasters के साथ आपका स्वागत है. Today, we sit with a legend who has carried this civilization through one of the 64 ancient arts, that is dance, truth and courage. Didi, for thousands of her shishyas and also to me, has carried forward a legacy and has been synonymous to our culture. Join me as we dive into the stories and wisdom of the legendary Mallika Sarabhai. Didi, as you've just lit the diya, can I ask you something that, what is that one memory or a story that comes to your mind when you light a diya, or something that takes you back to the memory lane?
For me, lighting a diya is an extremely introspective moment because I'm not religious in the least, but I do have a particular relationship with nature and with the whole world. I have a little Devi and a little Nataraja. The Devi was given to me by Amma. It's a brass Devi. And the Nataraja was given to me by my Kuchipudi teacher.
Okay.
And I carry them around wherever I perform, so
Wow.
for all these years. And every morning I light a lamp. But it's nothing to do with Hinduism or Hindutva.
Absolutely.
It is to remind me that lamp needs to be relit in ourselves every day.
Yeah.
And that darkness is very easy to come by.
Yeah, that is so true.
All the forces of the world, from what we read to what we listen to what we see, encourage the darkness. Yeah. But we mustn't forget that light is inside.
And that's exactly what I feel that the way I have explained the symbolism of diya right before is exactly, so I'm on the right track. Maybe Postmasters is on the right track. I have grew up watching you, reading about you. Even when I was learning Bharatnatyam, there is one thing very peculiar about you which has always drawn attention, and that is the pair of your earrings.
Unpair.
Unpaired, that is true. So I would really want to know that from where it started, what was the origin, and how did this happen? It is something which has always fascinated me, and I always used to tell my mother about it.
Well, it actually started when, during the Mahabharata, during the early days of the Mahabharata, we were in Frankfurt, and I decided to have my ears pierced.
Okay.
Sort of this and this.
Okay.
And it was the early days of the gun piercing.
Yes, absolutely.
And then I figured out after 2 days that I had to let one side go because I couldn't sleep on either side. So I let this side go. And then in any case, it was unbalanced, or as patriarchal structure says, unbalanced.
Yeah.
And then I just started having fun, wearing different earrings and sort of looking at all my earrings and saying, Aje a ane a.
That is so.
And then it began to happen that friends of mine who would lose one earring sent another one to me. So now I actually have a host of single earrings.
My God, this is so amazing.
It didn't start this way, but it later became that, nothing in nature is exactly balanced.
Yeah.
Nature is feminine energy, and feminine bodies are not exactly cut and measured as you would with a pair of scissors.
Yeah, that is true.
And so for me, it represented that as well as I became more and more of a feminist.
That is so true. That's very true. And I can see the same change in when you wear your bindi. It's exactly the forms keep changing.
Yes.
And maybe that says a lot. Maybe you started with something, you have something in mind, but the interpretations are also fabulous. So if you want to just give some light on that how do you decide that? As in, I'm always been fascinated about it.
I think I just let the moment call me.
Okay.
I have So that everything's spread out around me.
Correct.
And I just go and I look at my wardrobe and something calls out. And the bindis are the same.
Yeah. And again, a very important symbolism in our culture.
Yes, for the wrong reasons, as told just now, because it's nothing to
Yeah.
do with marriage.
True.
But it is to do with the pituitary and the third eye.
So, when you look back into your childhood, Amma's stories, father's voices, and the spaces around. So, what is that one thing that you have carried forward with you till today? Maybe may it be a memory or a story that was like that every
So
day.
Amma used to go off on tours.
Huh.
Papa used to be working at the lab.
Correct.
And my Kuchipudi guru, C.R. Acharyalu, that
Okay.
everybody called Master Ji,
Okay.
he used to be left to babysit Karthikeya and me.
Ah.
And he would make these scrapbooks of this size.
Acha.
And he would stick all sorts of things, flowers and pictures, and he would draw and so on. And my clearest memory is that of a storyteller. And he would dance around it and he would go, and Ravana went, and then he would come back and he would tell us something. And it was like, wow!
Oh my God.
And that is my clearest memory. And if I'm a storyteller today, I think it's because of
Yeah,
that. So when people look at their screens and look at games, I think, how boring is this? I mean, this is larger than life, and it's on the paper, and it's in space, and it's making sounds, and just total immersion. What's the point of getting totally immersed with headphones on in a IMAX theater?
Absolutely.
When you can have this.
Yeah, that's what. And maybe how old were you by that time?
It must have been started when I was 4 or something.
Wow.
It's just the marvel of storytelling, of everything becoming alive.
Yeah. So I just spoke about the 64 ancient arts and dance being one of them. So when you say that body remembers, I remember you telling that in many shows and talks. What does movement mean to you
Life.
as a concept?
Life.
Yeah.
The fact that we are made up of moving particles. We are not solid at all.
Yeah.
And that everything is moving. I mean, if you look at nature, everything is moving. If you look at the universe, everything is moving. However, still one might think it is. That is a question of perception. And movement is liberation, movement is freedom, movement is restlessness.
Yeah.
Movement is about tracing patterns in air. It's all of that. I see movement as breath. If there is breath, there is movement.
Yeah, yeah.
So culture might define how you express that movement.
Yeah, correct.
And culture might define what you don't do or what you can't do to move or how you can't move.
Yeah,
But those cultural definitions also shift with time.
That's true.
We are in a phase, unfortunately, where our freedoms of movement are getting more and more restricted instead of more and more free.
Correct.
I mean, I think people in general were much more liberated and free when I was growing up than today.
That's true.
Today we have such pressure from society and now magnified by the fact that it comes as a blue tick on your phone.
Yeah, my God.
There used to be a time when, your uncle heard from his neighbor that you were at a certain place on a certain day. That took time to come. Here, you say something, it's already on your phone.
It listens.
So, and that makes it so much more restrictive and so much less yourself and more the brand that you try and create on the phone.
Yeah.
And I think that limits movement.
How has your journey helped you in understanding identity, that oneness, as we call it, Atmana in Upanishads? What was that? Was it a particular moment, or maybe it was like an evolving journey which made you understand about the concept of identity?
I think both. It was an evolving thing and it was perhaps a moment. Identity has always been in both sides of my families not coupled to who you are born as, but what you do.
Okay.
So it didn't matter per se that I was a Sarabhai or a Swaminathan, but what each person in the family was doing. but the action,
Right.
which is again very Hindu philosophy, isn't it?
Yeah,
The karma yogi.
Very true.
So I think Karthika and I never grew up as being the children of, though we were, because our parents didn't treat us that way. And people keep asking me, how was it to be born to such a famous family? And I really don't know.
Yeah.
Because to us, Amma and Papa were Amma and Papa.
Correct.
And it wasn't there. But I think if there was one moment in my journey, both as a individual and as a performer, it was when I came out of 5 years of Mahabharata, seeing the effect that I had on, or my interpretation of Draupadi had on women across the world, and understanding that I had to write my own work, that nobody could actually, I couldn't share what was happening in my brain to be able to have a person translate it. And I was
correct.
forced into becoming my own creator. And I was doing Meera as one of the characters in Shakti, the Power of Women.
Okay.
And for me, she was not a devotee, she was a rebel. A 13-year-old girl in a Rajasthani palace. I mean, even today in Rajasthan, there are so many restrictions on women. Think of a 13-year-old girl saying, you can kill me if you want, but I know what my obsession is.
Yeah.
The fact to me that it's Krishna is irrelevant.
Correct.
The fact that a child like that has to have that obsession and not care and say, I will stand up against everything. For me, that was a very, very strong moment of her identity. And I was translating it onto the stage, and I have learned classical music for many years. And so the question came, does Meera sing on stage or not? And I said to her, I said, you can't not have Meera singing.
Yeah.
And then I said, but I'm very frightened of singing on the stage. And then I sat and I basically unmasked what that fear was. And I came to the conclusion that insecurity and fear are questions of one's ego.
True.
And so my conversations with myself were, is it important that what you want to say about Meera requires you to sing? Or is it more important that the audience thinks Mallika Sarabhai sings well?
Yeah.
And I said, how do we know that Meera sang well?
Correct.
We have heard M.S. Subbalakshmi and Lata Mangeshkar.
Yeah, correct.
But maybe Meera didn't sing at all. Maybe she wrote and she croaked. So what is it? Is it you, Mallika's identity, that's more important, or what you want to communicate?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think breaking through that barrier of fear,
Wow.
in many senses, solidified my belief that as a public person, I need to unmask myself for the public, because if I don't show my vulnerabilities and if I keep on a hypocritical mask, then how am I different from anybody else, and why do I need to be a public figure?
Correct. Absolutely.
For me, being a public figure means giving confidence and strength to others to say, it's okay, one can have lots of things wrong with one. But that doesn't take away from the fact that we are. What is my identity, and does my identity require a pat on the back from society that I don't believe in? And the answer was no. It would be nice to be validated, but nice for a second. So an award is not what validates me. I have to validate myself. I have to know that what I'm doing is something I will stand by and stand for. Because if my validation and my identity comes from a very fast changing and very duplicitous set of people that makes up society, then I will always be in insecurity.
Yeah. And I think as you spoke about the purpose, you know, it's what you do. I think that's exactly what Atmana, Swadharma and Shraddha, at the end of the day, having faith in your inner self is.
Correct. And having the courage to listen.
Yeah, that is most important.
Because most of us prefer not to listen to our inner voice. Because it's inconvenient.
Exactly. So can you share a moment in your artistic journey or otherwise also, which really transformed, if you remember, that it really transformed someone's journey, including mine, But otherwise, do you remember any sort of that memory, or you have a story that you want to share with us?
I will talk to you
Huh.
about when I wasn't even thinking of being a dancer.
Huh.
And Amma was going off on a tour to Japan.
Huh.
And there was a very famous kingdom in Japan called the Meijis. And a lot of the arts of Japan that we admire so much
Okay.
were created during the Meiji period.
Right.
And it was the Meiji centenary, and Amma had been asked to come and perform. And I said, please give me some small role, I want to come. So she gave me a small role of a fortune teller in a Bharatanatyam dance drama, traditional Bharatanatyam dance drama called Kuravanji, in which there's always a heroine and she's in love with the king or she's in love with somebody. And the Kurati, the Banjara who reads fortunes, comes and tells her that he will come to you.
Correct.
So, 4,000-seater auditorium, my first ever professional show, and that too with Amma and the company. And I stepped onto the stage and my entire sari fell off.
Okay.
And in the same thing, I took it like this and tucked back and continued dancing.
Okay.
So at the end of that performance, Amma said, darling, I don't know if you ever want to be a performer, but you've got it in you.
Even you have spoken about that, culture is not what you always inherit. It's what you practice, and maybe through this incident you had that sort of an experience that, it is in you somewhere.
It's also, what is it that separates a technically brilliant actor from an actor who enraptures you?
Correct.
It's that X factor. And part of that X factor is presence of mind, to be able to have the light falling on your head and still be able to take the audience with you. And I think what Amma meant was that if I could be completely unflurried by the fact that my sari was on the floor and pick up the pleats and put them back, then whatever that presence of mind was, she saw it in me. That everything else is okay, but you do have this. I don't know if you have talent.
Okay. So, which part of the ancestral wisdom that you feel that can really change today's youth when, we all know that everyone's facing loneliness, they have their own ways to be in their own cocoon, their anxiety. So do you want to just share some light on that, something which our culture can really guide them, or something that you feel that
Twamasi. That you are, find yourself and you have found the world. One's greatest friend has to be oneself. One's greatest source of energy has to be oneself. And it's like the musk deer that, goes on looking for the scent. But the scent is actually in its navel. And it spends its entire life looking outwards. If I acquire this, I will be happy. If I have a beautiful house, I will be happy. If I'm not happy inside of me, there is nothing that will make me happy. There'll always be something else out there. So I think the journey is inward, not outwards. Of course, one wants to be comfortable. Of course, one wants to have a nice house. I'm not saying no to any of that. But that is a way to find yourself. And that journey is a U-turn. So if one goes on going outwards, then one is getting further and further away from it. And I think today's oligarchical society just exemplifies that going away from the self, building bigger and bigger temples, putting more gold on them, giving crowns of diamonds to some deity somewhere.
Correct.
When, you could pick up a leaf and say, this is it.
True. There is this, while I was working on my journey of post, I had created a lot of research and analysis, and I had spoken to you about. There was this common and, a constant reply that I got that, there is an urge to understand culture, to understand our roots, to understand the identity. But I feel that there's some sort of disconnect. Now, do you feel, and where do you think that this disconnect had started or has started? Because there is an urge, everyone's writing about it, and I can see that. It's not that, just for the sake of it, they had written, because
But to define our culture as a monolith is so wrong. Ao Naga headhunter may have nothing in common with my vegetarianism. But what is this culture? And culture is not something that's froze in
Yeah,
1930.
true, true.
What I'm doing will probably become very traditional tomorrow.
Yeah,
What
correct.
I'm doing as a performer, when I started in 1990 after the Mahabharata, doing one-woman shows, breaking down this boundary of this is theatre, this is dance, this is music, this is puppetry. People said, Mallika, you're committing suicide. As a performer, you are a very well-known Bharatanatyam dancer, you're a celebrated Kuchipudi dancer. Why are you going away from that?
Yeah,
And today, every performer is doing that. Every young performer is breaking this boundary of theatre and music and speaking on stage
yeah,
and doing other things, using props and so on and so forth.
that's true.
So, the disconnect is perhaps in the search. What are we
Yeah,
searching for?
yeah. So this is something which primarily why I started Post. How can we revive the idea that, for almost our society and our Indians, culture is to witness certain events, some festivals, some traditions, and that is what culture is. How can we go beyond that and make people understand that?
That the way you do this diya is culture, the way I wear a ring is
Yeah,
culture, the way I do namaste is culture, the way I eat, the fact that we try and eat with only the top veda of our
yeah,
hands,
yeah,
and that in South India to actually do this is the correct way to eat. All of
correct.
that is culture.
Yeah,
Our language is culture.
correct.
And that's the disconnect that you are culture.
Yeah, true.
So culture is not a performance. Culture is not an artwork that I'll go and see.
Yeah,
That's part of it. That's a manifestation of it.
yeah,
But culture is so much broader. The games I play is culture. And that is what we're losing.
yeah,
In a
true.
quest to be
Yeah,
white and consider ourselves modern, we are going to one of the newest countries in the world which has no history.
yeah,
It is if we try to copy the Greeks, at least they have a 5,000-year history. But we
yeah,
are copying the United States of America,
yeah,
which is a couple of hundred and which has no unified culture. Politicians are trying to make a unified culture. But our greatest strength and the only strength we have is that we have an unbroken culture. Even the poor British who came went away more Indian than we are.
yeah,
Uh, and that some part of India was alive at all times.
yeah,
And that each of those things, if you try and make one out of a million diyas, if you try and make one biggest candle in the world, which seems to be what we're doing, the biggest, the largest, the broadest,
yeah,
the fattest, what is the beauty of one big fat phallic like
yeah,
candle
yeah,
as against the diyas that you have around your house? Each one flickering differently, but each one as correct as the next.
the next.
That is our culture. You and I can say we like mud mirror, we are going to showcase it,
Yeah,
but in a Kutchi house, it's still alive,
exactly. Practicing.
practicing.
Yeah. So that is what it is that, as you said, that, the smallest of the things, like people even don't know that why we bow down to our elders.
People know the latest, I don't know, the latest violent game,
Yeah.
or what kind of tight jeans can be worn and imported. Or,
Yeah.
the tragedy is not even that. The tragedy is that we don't know that we don't know, and we don't want to know
Oh,
that
yes.
we don't
So
know.
true.
And
I
it's
totally
only
agree.
when a Beatles in the 60s or a Madonna or somebody like that give a chap of approval that suddenly everybody's interested in the sitar, suddenly everybody's interested in Ayurveda, suddenly everybody wants to know about Mehendi,
Yeah.
and that we are slaves. The Indian mentality is a slavish mentality. We might chati thopofy as much as we want. But as long as, what I was talking about, validation, as long as you want somebody outside to
Exactly.
approve of you,
True.
you are not free.
Yeah.
And we want the white society to approve of us, specifically the United States of America, to approve of us.
Yeah.
How can we talk of anything? How can we talk of culture? The culture is the culture that we have there, which is you don't throw rubbish on the streets. The minute that person comes here, they'll go,
Yeah.
and that's their culture.
True.
So you and I have to continue doing what we are doing.
Yes.
But it's only a fragment.
Yeah.
And I think where you and I can change is that with 2 children, I have put out 2 beacons that talk sense.
Very
You
true.
through Kadambari will put out a beacon and you will continue doing all of this. I will continue doing all of this, knowing that it won't fall on completely deaf ears.
Yeah.
Somebody somewhere will pick up a strand, and then that strand will become a million strands.
Yes.
I am sure that will happen.
Yeah.
Whether it will happen in your lifetime, I don't know, but it will happen.
Yeah.
The fact, I am so chuffed that there are so many NID and NIFT designers who are going back and working with artisans.
Yeah.
It was unthinkable 20 years ago.
Exactly.
It was the odd person out. And today, if you look at the top brands, all of them are working with artisans. So there's hope. And you and I are part of that hope.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. That says it all, actually. Wow. I just can't imagine what happened. This was such an insightful conversation. You know, I remember meeting her, Didi, as I fondly call her, meeting her 6 months back. And she was one of the few people, one of the first person with whom I shared my concept of post, and see where we are today. And I think we didn't get a chance to read what Didi wrote on this postcard, right? So let me read out to you. It says, what does one search for? Truth, justice, or the self? I think this is what our post journey will be ahead, isn't it? Namaste.
The mountains to climb are really the depths that you go within yourselves. The deeper you go, and the more you are able to show your strength by becoming vulnerable to the world, the happier you will be. Didi, these words will stay with me forever. पोस्ट मास्टर्स के विचारों से जुड़ने के लिए धन्यवाद।